Hey guys, welcome back to Freshman Weekers YouTube channel. Today we're here in Niagara Falls, Canada, and today we are experiencing the newest tourist attraction in Niagara Falls. That is the Niagara Falls Power Plant. So we're going to walk around, check out this historic power plant, all the neat equipment here, and take a walk through the discharge tunnel, which will take us right to the base of the falls. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to check it out. Make sure you stick around, hit that subscribe button, and let's go.
Let's go. Alright guys, look at this over here. We're still in Niagara Falls, having a great old time. I'm pretty sure this is the attraction this guy is just excited about. So it's a new thing here. I think they opened it maybe 2 years ago-ish. But yeah, we're super excited. So from what I understand, this used to be the power plant that was generated through hydropower, and then they turned this into like a museum. So we're going to learn some history. Gonna get wet again, link below where the last video was, where we got super soaked on the horn blower. So still representing the soggy sleeves, but we're for it.
Yeah, so this is the newest attraction. So this is my third time in Niagara Falls, and I have not been here yet because it's fairly new. It opened within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And ever since I was a kid, I've always was obsessed with power plants and big generators and stuff, so I'm super excited to check all of that out.
He likes big things, what can I say? All right, let's go. All right guys, first time we find here, that's the entrance, getting over to the left. I believe this is the tunnel. This is the elevator that takes down to the tunnel, and that's the discharge. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk through here though, and learn some history, and then at the end, we're gonna get wet.
Yeah, we're already wet.
We're already wet. Let's go. So the cool part is from what I understand, a lot of this is actually original, right? So I think like that clock is original. So we're here almost at noon on a Saturday. Those steps look super cool. So this is the entrance point where you would scan in your ticket if you have the Adventure Pass. There's the ticket center as well. They do have a nighttime thing here that we may or may not come to. We'll see if we got time.
Right. It's kind of like they do projections on the walls and on the generators and stuff. Kind of like the castle at Disney World.
Ah, okay, fair.
Yeah, so everything kind of comes to life.
Yeah, but we are going to ask if we can go down to the falls at nighttime. That would be kind of cool if we can actually do that would be pretty neat. So we'll see.
All right, guys, so to give you an idea how this works, the water is going to come from the main intake pipe here, and it goes all the way down and spins the turbine at the bottom, which rotates the shaft up here, and that's where the generator is, and that's what actually generates the electricity. So you can see how many floors and stories this whole building is. It's quite a ways down to the bottom.
Guess what I just saw?
What'd you see?
The gift shop.
Oh boy. You can't touch nothing?
So FYI, this is not like an interactive museum. You definitely can't turn this, because I definitely tried and I definitely can't do it.
Yeah, so they have it all welded?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not moving that at all.
Not flipping switches, turning power back on?
No, you're not.
Power in Las Vegas?
So there you go. That's all you got. That's all you got.
That's it. Okay. These big power switches make you feel like Dr. Frankenstein. Here they have some really neat photos and information on the construction of the power plant. So they had to do all this before, obviously, there was electricity in the area. So it was all done with hand tools and dynamite. They had to dig a well depth of 155 feet straight through the bedrock. So imagine that was pretty tough. Gotta really appreciate the hard work of those previous generations. So it's interesting too, they have all these big pieces of equipment here. They're all labeled like feeder, resistance switch. So I'm not really sure. I think these may be like giant, I don't know, fuses or switches or...
They look like pistons. They look like they go up and down.
So it also says bus bars. I think there's more stuff like underneath it here too that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was wondering if these are like maybe like giant circuit breakers or something like that. I don't know.
Clearly you guys can tell we've done a ton of research on this.
Honestly, I expected more signs telling us what we're looking at. Looking at feeder switch number 9, I have no idea what that really is or what that means.
Well, I'm going to guess. I think the feeder switch means it's feeding water into the plant.
Feeding power out to the grid, probably.
No, I think it's feeding means it's eating, therefore it's taking water in. Because if you look right through those windows, that's the water. That's where the water's coming in, right?
Well, let's go take a look. All right, so this is where the water is intake, we think. The river is right out there. We've got a bridge in the way. I have no idea what we're looking at.
Yeah, maybe we should have done a quick Google search first.
There's a high potential tester. Ooh, high potential tester. All right, so they're saying that this thing is capable of producing up to 25,000 watts or 25,000 volts of power. It was used in order to test equipment after it was repaired to make sure that the equipment was working before they reapplied it back to the grid. And look at that giant plug. That's what a 25,000 volt plug looks like.
power the whole city.
Yeah, but also too, look how like old style this is. You definitely would not want to send 25,000 volts of power through that anymore.
Oh my gosh.
This thing is a fire hazard waiting to happen. Look at all the tape on it.
I know, oh my goodness.
So just down the hall here, we have some of the intake grates, so that's pretty neat. And the water is a wonderful emerald color. Seeing tons of little fish down there hanging out too. So I imagine if this power plant was running at full tilt, that would probably have pretty strong current, I would think, coming through here. And those little fish would probably be in pretty big danger.
So at what point does it stop being a power plant and start being an aquarium?
An aquarium? Or a fish processing plant?
Aw, poor buddies.
Oh, yeah, look at all those fish. It's like looking under the microscope.
It appears as if you can take a guided tour through here. We didn't know that was an option.
I'm not sure if it's included in our tickets or...
Yeah, I don't know either, but maybe check out the website if there's something you're interested in, like if power plants are like your thing. Maybe check it out and see if that's something you would be interested in.
One of the neat things that you learn about here is around the current wars, which is something, which is what they called, I guess, the feud, the war between Nikola Tesla as well as Thomas Edison. So basically what was happening around the time was George Westinghouse partnered with Nikola Tesla in order to promote AC current, alternating current, and they believed that was going to be the way of the future, the way that we're going to electrify the world. However, around the same time, Thomas Edison wanted to promote DC current, thinking that AC current was much more dangerous. He actually staged a lot of like really crazy and grotesque kind of demonstrations where he electrocuted elephants in front of people. It was terrible. If you want to know more about it, look into that. We're not going to discuss it on this channel any further than that. But the rivalry was pretty heated there. George Westinghouse was partnered with Nikola Tesla, and George Westinghouse was actually awarded a contract by the U.S. government to build the Adams Power Station on the other side of the river. The power station that we're standing in now was actually modeled after the Adams Power Station, one of several built in the area using AC current. So AC current is the one that eventually won out, and that's the one that we do use today to power all of the world.
I thought the whole thing, like, it was like a propaganda, like AC was supposed to be safer than DC, but isn't DC actually safer?
No, that's what I just explained.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll stop talking and I'll watch the footage and then I'll know the answer. So never mind. I'll learn about this in a couple of days.
Thomas Edison believed that DC was safer.
Oh.
And so that's when he went on that crazy campaign of electrocuting elephants with AC current.
Oh, that's right. I remember the Bob's Burgers episode of Topsy. Oh, that's a jerk. Why would you want to electrocute elephants? Rude.
American hero. So here we have a mechanical brake. So you can use this to slow and adjust the amount of speed, the amount of electricity and speed coming out of the turbine. Here's the governor, which is going to, I guess this works in combination with that brake, and this is what you would use to govern the flow of water and electricity. And I do see that it has like these mechanical balls up here. It's kind of similar to like the way like the old steam engines would work, where when the steam engine started spinning around really fast, the balls would actually like through centrifugal force, they'd be forced out, and so that's where the term going balls out comes from. It's not as dirty as you would think. It actually refers back to these old steam engines and stuff like this, where those balls would extend, and then that's how you could tell exactly how fast the engine, or in this case the governor, is running.
I don't believe that.
Jay Leno taught me that.
No. Jay Leno would know a lot about his balls being out.
He has steam engine cars.
Oh. Okay, so in thinking about it, I guess it makes a little bit more sense, because I guess if you're going really fast, would you really want your man parts out? Probably not. So, okay. Yeah, I will accept that answer.
Full send, balls out.
Full send, balls out.
So here they have a model of a Tesla coil. So this is kind of like a giant Van de Graaff generator, one of those things that you put your hands on and it makes your hair stand up. Basically, Tesla had this crazy idea, and this is why he got labeled as an insane person, is because he thought that the future of electricity was going to be wireless, and that he was just going to have millions of these type of Tesla coils scattered all across the globe, and that they're going to be shooting giant electric arcs out into the air and powering everything within several miles distance wirelessly, so you wouldn't have any electrical wires running anywhere. And he thought it was all going to be through the air. Of course, that never worked out, and that's is ultimately what sunk his career and why he ended up dying pretty much penniless, because he went all in on this idea and didn't work. So the wireless charging that we have now uses a different type of technology called an induction, right? So kind of like the induction stove, right, where it's got a big wire loop in there that produces magnetic currents in order to turn a tiny generator in the object that's trying to be charged. So your phones actually have a little tiny generator in there, and when you put them on those wireless things, it's just oscillating back and forth and producing electrical current.
So this is just kind of funny. I'm pretty sure Tesla identifies as a millennial, and here's why I know that. He left home at an early age. That's not necessarily a millennial thing, but here's what else happened. He dropped out of college at 19. He moved to the U.S. with only 4 pennies and some poems. He left his job. He got a job as an electrical engineer working for Edison, but then he left his job at Edison's company after 6 months of working there.
Yeah,
to open up his own company.
He thought he was smarter than Edison.
I think he might have been smarter than Edison. I think millennials think they are smarter than their boss more times than not.
Yeah, well, we are the boss now.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, some of our oldest millennials are early 40s now.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
So here's a photo of Nikola Tesla along with his Tesla coils. So like I was saying, you can see how frightening this would be with all this electricity shooting all over the place. Now, he's in basically a Faraday cage, so he's protected, but you can see why most of the public probably didn't want to support this idea. I am no expert on electricity. I do have an electrical engineering degree, but I rarely ever use any of that information, and that was a long time ago. So I'm trying to remember back from what I learned in college. But basically the difference between AC and DC, AC is alternating current, so it flips its polarity, positive and negative, and that sends those electrons in the cable. They move forward a little bit, they move backwards, move forward a little, backwards. So basically when you get to the end, you can then that little tiny movement of those electrons is what is ultimately going to power the motors at the end of the line. Now with DC, those electrons are going all the way through. So with AC, you can use lower voltages. So I know with DC, I think the big problem is that the voltage drop over time is a lot more. So it takes higher voltages to be able to push that all the way through the system, because it's more susceptible to resistance. Mm-hmm. But with the AC, you can run it much longer lines, and that's why it ultimately won out, is because it doesn't require quite as high voltages to send it as far, because you're only talking about moving those electrons just a little bit at a time.
So by having lower voltages, it's safer, because the volt is what shocks you, right? Like that's what hurts?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay, so I knew nothing. Okay.
Yeah. Right. so that's an interesting point too.
Sorry, I don't know
actually
things.
a lot of people freak out about the volts. It's actually not the volts that'll get you, it's the current. So the current on the AC is a lot higher than the current is on the DC. So if you think about like a battery, like a 9-volt battery is DC, but it doesn't really produce that much current, versus like your electrical socket is, well, it's 120 volts, but it's AC. And then, if you put your finger in there, you're going to get zapped. So with current, I guess you could think about it like if you just in terms of DC, like a 9-volt battery versus like a 12-volt battery. There's not really a big difference in voltage there, but like a car battery has a lot more amps, which is the current, and that's what's going to get you if you touch a car battery, you're going to be in trouble. And so I do think that Edison was probably right in DC being safer, but AC is just more, it's more practical, on a long scale type of deployment. And so here's another look at that Tesla coil that he, again, had this idea of transmitting wireless power through the air with this giant generator here on the top. So if you can imagine this building shooting out lightning basically in every direction, I can imagine that would be pretty terrifying to most people.
All right, so we're not going to show you guys everything in the museum, because we definitely think you guys should come here and experience it yourself. So we're going to pick out some of the cool things that we see and kind of pepper in the story throughout, but definitely come check it out.
All right, and here we have a look at a cross section of one of the pipes that actually intakes the water down through the generators.
And we're going to have a little photo session with Lewis, and I'm excited for that. Okay. Photos here. You guys, he's such a good sport. I can get him to do almost anything, but I think it's always funny when I get him to do funny things, because I just think it's funny. So hope you guys enjoyed those pictures. This
is an interesting statistic that 50 to 75% of Niagara's flow is actually currently diverted through tunnels. So as impressive as the falls are, they're actually only at 50 to 25% of the full power that they could be having.
Could you imagine being able to measure the mist at like even 10% more? There's no way. There's no way, bro. There's no way.
It'd be pretty crazy.
And I wonder if that's what happened to like the erosion of the falls, right? Because you said it keeps coming back.
Right, exactly. So the falls do continue to move, and they keep moving back. So by diverting the water, it should slow that erosion, right, and kind of preserve it for future generations.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're not seeing it as nature intended.
So we did hear this morning when we were on the boat, the hornblower, as we went to the bottom of the falls, that the American Falls it's not going to be the same in a few years because of just how rapidly it's eroding.
Yeah, they said that eventually it will just turn into rapids.
Yeah. So this is pretty cool. This is a telephone booth that Luce is going to pop into. But apparently they had these all over the plant. It was essential for communication. So there were 7 on the main floor, and employees that needed to communicate with the control room were assigned specific rings that consisted of different number of chimes. So pretty cool.
I dinged the bell on you with whatever you were saying there.
Huh?
So I dinged the bell on you with whatever you were saying there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking to it like it's a mouthpiece, but it's the earpiece. This will probably be the last thing before we start heading down to the falls. But here they have some interesting information about how the water gets through the power plant here. So it's entered through those bays that we saw out there, drops 136 feet straight down into those the bottoms of the turbines that we witnessed, and then it gets expelled down the tunnel. The exit tunnel is 2,200 feet.
Wow.
Further down the falls. So next up, we're going to take you down those tunnels. We're just going to check it out.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, guys, so we're at the very end of the museum. Next, we're going to head back to the front, hop on those elevators, and go on down and, yeah, get a view of the falls from the bottom. And we are going to switch over to the GoPro just to make sure that we're not getting this expensive camera very wet.
About to head 136 feet directly below, and we're going to walk along a 2,200 foot tunnel that's 115 plus years old.
Older than you.
Fun was quick back.
Alright, guys. Alright. Okay, so we are here at the bottom of the tunnel, so we're going to head on through. And yeah, check everything out. A lot cooler than earlier. So yeah, let's go. Oh my gosh. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that. But before you even make it to the tunnel, it's all the way up. Alright, let's go. We're heading on down. Definitely a downward trajectory. Obviously, water runs downhill. Yeah, it's not cooler.
It is cold.
It's not cold. This is cool. So yeah, should we get in? We are going to find out if we can come back at nighttime instead of the falls to the bottom. That would be pretty neat. So, all right. Next time you guys see us, we're going to be at the end. Let's go.
So I do think it's a little unnerving knowing that this tunnel used to carry water through it, and that just means that it's probably blocked off up there. So all that water is still sitting there, I don't know, behind a door or a grate or something, and just waiting to rush down here. That if that fails, we are screwed. Tell you what, we get flushed right out of here like turds in a toilet bowl.
All right, guys, there we are. That's it. So excited! Woo! All those birds are out there flying around like they own the place. This guy's excited.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. Finally not raining anymore. Wow. Oh my gosh. That is insane. Honey.
Look at that boat.
I know, it's rocking. And 360 just killed my shot. That's cool. It's alright.
Take it off.
That boat is rocking, bro. How you doing out here, babe?
That's crazy. I mean, look at all that water coming over the edge there.
I know. That's crazy. still looks wet though.
Makes you say that.
I just feel like we got a little bit closer and got a little bit more soggy.
I think we got it right up in there because the thing is you were getting wet all through here, and then once you got up in here, it started drying out. We did eventually get up in there.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, it's so foggy you can't see it.
Right.
You can't see hardly anything.
Yeah. It's not that you guys can see it, but there's like a mini waterfall right there. Probably just rain runoff, honestly. Alright guys, so hopefully you guys can see that little white building right there. That is where we launched for the hornblower. We can see the hornblower right here, and then you're gonna head over to the falls, which is right here. Probably only see that. So it is starting to rain again, but I would definitely recommend coming here earlier in the day, maybe to beat some of the crowd. And I will say, because it's raining, it is actually 1 o'clock right now, and it's not too bad back here. But I know probably on a clearer day, warmer day, probably would be a little bit more packed. All right, guys, so we're gonna head back up to the gift shop and find some swag. You ready, babe?
Let's go.
All right, let's go. So fun fact, guys, they actually do provide ponchos here if you would like one, and they're free. They're included with your consultation. All right, guys, back up to the top, to the generator floor. We're gonna pop over to the gift shop, and I'm gonna pick out some fun things. That's what we do. Let's go. All right, so we have this T-shirt for 30 bucks Canadian. They have these Niagara Park Power Station Falls T-shirts for 30 bucks. These are pretty nice. And if zip hoodies are your thing, 75 bucks. All right, guys, this is what I'm getting. T-shirt. This is getting the same one, but in blue and a magnet. All right, cool. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us today here at power plant. Hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. I know I did. I learned a lot of things. Spent some money. That was fun. And yeah, here's Louis with the pro tips. Oh, and we also found out that at night the tunnel is not accessible. So if you want to come and go downstairs to the actual tunnel and be out there like we were, you have to come during the day. The night exhibit does not allow for that to happen. Fun fact.
Alright guys, so here are your pro tips for visiting the power station here at Niagara Falls. I'd say number one is make sure you book yourself enough time to fully explore this attraction. There's a lot to do, a lot to see, a lot to read, and definitely an hour is not going to be quite enough. You're probably going to need an hour and a half, 2 hours just for this one attraction because there's a ton here and you don't want to shortchange yourself. Pro tip number two is this does require quite a bit of mobility. It is accessible, but the tunnel itself is very long and it's going to take quite a while to get way down there. So if you're having trouble walking, I would definitely recommend some sort of walker or a scooter or something to help you get along down that tunnel because it is pretty far. There are benches along the way, you can stop and take a rest, but just kind of keep that in mind. Pro tip number three is in addition to being a cool way to see the falls here, it's also very educational. So if you really enjoy learning about new things, learning about electricity and power plants and how they work, as well as history with Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison, then I think you're going to have a great time. All right, so that's going to do it for today. Remember, like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comments below. Have you ever been here, or what is your favorite Niagara Falls attraction? We'd love to hear about it. Remember to hit that subscribe button. And with that being said, we're out of here, and we'll see you next weekend.
I promise I'm smart. And not everything that comes out of my mouth is dumb. My idea, what I just said was kind of dumb.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I promise I'm smart. And we did hear when we took the horn blower. Oh, okay.
Test new equipment. It was used in. My phone's ringing.
You're in a phone booth and your phone's ringing?
Yeah, as impressive as the falls are, they're actually only as impressive as Niagara Falls.
Sorry, you're being bugger right in my face.
Right, with that little tiny.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe there's more sense on the other side.
We're looking at feeder switch number 9. I have no idea.
You literally just smacked me in the face with your bag.
Okay. Well, you're talking over me.
Sorry.
So we're looking.
Alright. That's that.
What?
Never mind. I'm sorry. I'm trying to learn because it's in your point less current. No.
All right. So.
I'm sorry. I'm making this so much harder.
So I do think. So even though it's higher, it's not really good. I guess maybe. Okay. So step out of the way.
Oh.
All right. All right. So here.
You're talking to me.
Yeah. Thomas Edison. Yeah. Thomas Edison. Where is it?
You're asking me like I know.
All right.